What's up, guys? So if you want to see how we take our back patio from this to this, stay tuned. A few things I didn't get a chance to record was one, replacing the current light fixture with a fan rated box and centering the fan rated box in the ceiling. And then lastly, the actual installation of the ceiling fan. This is a fairly new slab, so I wasn't too concerned about it not being flat. However, I brought out the lever just in case, and everything looked good. So we moved on to the next step of test fitting some of the tiles. When prepping the layout, there were two things that I wanted to keep in mind. One was the fact that we had a 6-foot wide fireplace, and because our tiles were 12 by 24, it took 3 tiles to span the length of the fireplace. I thought that transferring the line from the edge of the fireplace down into a grout line and aligning all of the tiles that way made for a stronger pattern from a design sense. The second thing that I wanted to keep in mind while doing the layouts was to not have a cut tile at the edge of the patio. And the simple solution to this concern would be to just shift all of the tiles towards the end of the patio. That would leave us a 4-inch gap at the base of the wall, and that's where that cut tile would end up. At this point, I thought I was ready to mix my mortar and start laying the tile, but it turns out I wasn't. The reason I was not ready was because once I started placing the tiles, I realized that because I had shifted all the tiles so that I can have a full tile at the edge of the patio, I needed to start with my cut tile at the base of the wall. That way I can use it as a base to get the first line of tiles perfectly aligned so that the rest of the tiles would just fall in line properly. Also, I was not confident that I can maintain all of these joint lines and keep everything aligned if my starting point was not rock solid. So I needed to step back, reassess, even though it was hot, and try to lay out the entire back patio, cutting everything and then starting with the mortar. Similar to wood flooring, it's a good idea to pick pieces out of different boxes. That way the patterns on each individual tile don't line up, and when you look at it as a whole, it doesn't read as almost like you can see similar patterns. you want to randomize it to make sure that you don't have similar tiles next to each other. With that said, I went through grabbing different tiles out of different boxes. I actually separated the whole thing at first, laid them out, and then just picked different pieces, always checking to see what type of grain and pattern each tile had, and try to keep those. Try to make it a little bit more randomized. By the way, the tiles with the yellow edges, those are the ones that I ended up putting down first before I ended up stopping and going back to start the actual dry fit process. Throughout the entire dry fit process, I'm using a rubber mallet with the spacers so that I can gently tap the tiles so I can get them as tight as possible. If you don't take your time and maintain integrity in your lines, then you're going to end up with either having to cut a tile at the end, or you're going to have not enough space between the tiles and not being able to fit the spacers as normal. Once all the tiles were fitted, I used some green painter's tape to label all the tiles to make it easier once I started laying the mortar down to grab and put them down for good. Definitely make sure to use the correct trowel based on your tile size. This one being 12 by 24 is recommended that we use a 1/4 inch notch trowel and large format tile Mortar LFT. Once everything was dried for 24 hours, it's time to kick off the spacers so we can start cleaning up. My assistant finally showed up, so I had some help for this part, and it's just a matter of going through, kicking off the spacers, and then of course cleaning up and prepping for grout time. When it came time for grouting, I ended up using an acrylic grout. That's because I am not a big fan of mixing grout, so anything that can save me on time, I'm definitely going to go for that. I ended up using the Fusion Pro acrylic grout in charcoal. It was pretty simple to use. You simply used a float and worked it into the joints at, say, a 45-degree angle. Be sure to work in a small area and clean as you go so that you don't leave that residue from the acrylic grout on the tile. If you let it dry, it's gonna harden and be a real pain to get out. Another benefit of using the acrylic grout is that you don't need to seal it. So once you're done, you're done. Please like, subscribe. There's more to come. I still got more stuff to do on the patio, so like, subscribe, and see you next time. Peace.